All right, welcome to a wonderful webinar with Green Rope. And the topic for today is EasyBuilder versus emailer. What are the feature differences and what are the primary functions of the EasyBuilder and the emailer, as they are two separate entities and features within Green Rope. Hello. My name is Ian Quatico. I am the Education and Success Manager for Green Rope, and a couple of you in this room have had a chance to go through discovery calls and training sessions. So it's good to see you inside our webinar for today. And for those who I have not yet been able to reach out to for education, we do this on a monthly basis, these webinars. So we tackle a lot of topics, and this one specifically is a really good one. It's something that we do talk about during our training sessions, and it takes some time to actually understand the main differences. So I'm really excited that we're able to do this together on this webinar. So my first slide, the building templates is easy in EasyBuilder, hence the name. So let's get started with the first set of slides. So I like to start off with a quote, and this quote kind of like coincides with what you're doing in the EasyBuilder and emailer functions. And this is by Yo-Yo Ma. Quote is, "Passion is one great force that unleashes creativity, because if you're passionate about something, then you're more willing to take risks." So I find that really motivational in the ways that there's keywords here: passion, creativity, and if you're passionate about something, then you would be able to take risks here. So why I chose that was particularly because of the creativity factor that drives from passion. So we all have some form of passion in our businesses specifically. So the keyword creativity is that you're able to do that with the EasyBuilder and the emailer. It really is a self-expression of your message that you want your audience to participate in and engage with you. So I thought this was a really cool quote. Let's head on to our agenda. So I split up the agenda in two different formats. So the first format will be for the EasyBuilder, and the second agenda will be for the emailer, since we need to kind of dissect this as it is. So we'll do an intro to the email building and key factors to building your email. So components that comprise the EasyBuilder. Your main benefits of the EasyBuilder, as there are many, especially working in Green Rope. So we'll do some heavy encouragement here. I'll also include some best practices for using the EasyBuilder, as there are general knowledge that you'll want to know, especially creating the templates. And then also have examples of emails that had been built in EasyBuilder, just to kind of give you some context of what you're able to do with these emails created here. And then I'll finish that this section up with a demonstration of using the EasyBuilder so that we can dissect it in real time. So without further ado, let's get to our introduction to the EasyBuilder and the basics. So to start, it is located in Communicate EasyBuilder. So that is a little drop down on your navigation bar. A lot of help and assistance can be found in the help section and the guide me sections, where we have videos, and we also have text-based items that will help you with the EasyBuilder. Just wanted to shout that out. So then you'll also be dissecting your EasyBuilder within these sections. So the first being settings. So what are the settings? The settings control everything about your template. It controls the background, the color scheme, borders, fonts, and line spacing for examples. There's more, but those are the main ones that are comprise the template itself. You'll have sections, and the sections, what you're going to be doing with them is you're going to be dragging and dropping the sections to wherever that section is appropriate. Some of them are text-based, some of them are picture-based, some of them are a combination of pictures and text, and different formats of those. So facilitating to things like signatures, facilitating to large, small images, like an array of small images and text. So lots of ways to be creative with these sections. And when it comes down to it, that's what your template should be comprised of, is these different sections that you're able to modify. You'll have an image tab, and this is a drag and drop kind of feature. So you will have media files that are located in your media library, right? You'll upload images there. And so this feature allows you to just bring in and introduce those that exist in the media library to your template. And then the last bit here is your comments section. So this is nice to have, as there may be many users in your account, and many users will be using the EasyBuilder, and the EasyBuilder templates themselves. You can be more communal and let people know what your intentions are with building the template, things that you might need to do, things that, like specific purposes that every other user should know about this template. And I'll make more sense in a second about that. So all of this is what comprises the EasyBuilder settings specifically. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of like dissect this further. So what you are looking at right now is the from and the subject area, and this will be a common item in the EasyBuilder and the emailer. But you will see a from, and in this case it is greenrope, and then in those brackets you have the support@greenrope.com. They don't have a subject in this image, but what we're looking at really is the default values that you are going to do or place here in the EasyBuilder template. So if you have an empty template, or if you have a template that you're already working on, you're going to define, it's more optional. It's optional to put a from and an optional email to this piece here. So if you include a from and an email here, that is what is going to be what is default when you load up that template. So that's important because you're going to send out emails, and the first step is to open up the email. So if you had saved the from an email to that template, then that is what is going to be loaded when you open up that template. So that just makes it easier for you to already have it defined. If you know for sure, for example, that you're going to be sending from marketing at, or the from is marketing, then it'll just make it easier for the later processes here. So once again, this is completely optional. Don't need to do that, but will help in future processes. So I mentioned this because it's a common question. Why does my template have this specific from and from email address? And so the answer is here. It is because that template had been saved with a default value here. So the next item in your EasyBuilder, and also the emailer, but this one has a very specific tool set that you're able to utilize a little bit differently from the emailer, although slightly the same. So here's what I have mentioned that I think that are important for you to know. The first is the article. So an article, what that is a small piece of section, basically like a section that you create in your media library. So in the media library, you introduce articles, and a use case scenario for these are for signatures. So when you create a signature in your media library, you're able to use that, activate the pointer. So you would be able to load up that signature. So let's say that you are going to send a personal message and you already have your team members' articles loaded in the media library. Then you'll use that article and upload it to the template. The next thing is the button builder. We have updated this builder, and it's an actual builder now. So when you click on that button, you're going to be able to stylize fonts with height, borders, and like whether it's square, rounder, but more importantly, you're able to hyperlink URLs to that button. That's an important key piece here. You will want to hyperlink all your buttons to direct your audience somewhere. And buttons are one of the primary, what we call to attentions to an email template. So good idea to have buttons located so that people can click. So that's really important. Buttons and clicking and going to a URL here. The next is pictures. So you're able to import your pictures. When you click on the picture icon, it opens up the media library folders of your images. So when you do that, you're able to modify, like the centering, the images. You can even modify the image as a whole. You can stylize the image more, put vertical spaces, horizontal spaces. I'll show you this like later on, what I mean by that. But yeah, so modify, edit, import that picture into wherever your cursor is placed. So the merge button, this one's very valuable, or valuable. So the mail merge placeholder, it allows an exchange of data that you currently have. So my example here is first name underscore placeholder. And so that's the actual placeholder, first name underscore placeholder. So if you have me in your database and you have my first name in the first name field, then what this placeholder will do is exchange out the data that you got and will replace the placeholder. So in the case that you don't actually have that data, then we will omit that or leave it out. So if you say something like hello, first name placeholder, and you don't have that data, we'll just say hello, and then probably that comma that follows after here. So we're gonna talk more about merging and the different capabilities for that, but that was just an example. So then the next thing is the event. So the event that you have here, it allows you to put in URLs for an event that you have made public. So when you make a public event, that becomes an option for you to include into your email template. So the purpose of the email template varies. Maybe this email template is to send a RSVP for your event. So yeah, so that'll be for the event placeholder. So the next item here is surveys. So the surveys that you create in the communicate survey sections, you'll comprise that of questions, and you'll have a central survey. So when you have that survey and you place that into your email template, then you'll be able to say, hey, click here to, I think it says click here to, forgot the actual verbs, click here to answer survey, I think. So therefore, you can modify that placeholder, that link, place it where it's like convenient. But once you place that in, people will click on that. So that's good to know, because a lot of the things that we're mentioning so far are clickable items that people are going to be able to use. Buttons, pictures, events, surveys, all clickable. So we move forward to the profile / unsub. So this and the footer, these two are important pieces to your email. And the reason being is that you all recipients of an email broadcast will need two things. One is a mechanism to unsubscribe, and the second is a physical address. So the first one, the profile / unsub, this has a drop-down menu of the possible variations of your profile / unsubscribe mechanism, such as unsubscribe from this email list, or a profile update. And there's like specific text in these placeholders. Same thing with the footer. The footer is going to have your physical address, and you should define that. You should define that first in the group settings, as groups are particularly to it could be to a particular address, as groups are kind of a separation. So when you separate out, maybe this business address is here versus the other group, which has a different address. So it's just something to think about here. So then we move over to the source. So you can throughout GreenRope, there's different areas that have access to the survey, or not survey, the source of what you're looking at, and usually they belong in like these editor types. So you can go inside and you can place specific things such as embedding like an iframe, embedding something into the message itself. So this is not like a necessary thing for you to know like HTML, but it's good to know that you have the option to modify the source. All right, so moving forward. So what is the process here? So the process for building out your emails essentially is to create your template. They will have different purposes. The purposes of the template will vary based off of whether it's like marketing, sales, or is operations driven, for example. So the purpose of the template will be created in EasyBuilder. When you are happy with what you had built and you know that you would use this again and again and again, then I highly recommend at that point to save the template. So once you save the template in EasyBuilder, you can refer back to that template because you've spent the time to create that one template that can be used for different purposes, for example. So then we move forward to the exporting of that template to the media library. So at that point that you are ready to, you can then export it to the media library. It needs to exist in the media library in order for you to be able to use the template. So there's a difference here. One is saving it, right? Saving the template in EasyBuilder so that it exists. You can modify that anytime. You can open up the template and then make like little adjustments or whatever adjustments are necessary. But when you're ready, you then export it as a brand new file. So that file you're going to be using throughout GreenRope. That's email related. So 3 processes here. Okay, so moving forward. Okay, so let's talk about the benefits of the EasyBuilder, as there are many. Okay, so the first is that it's simple. All right, so when you're using the EasyBuilder, you have a drag and drop functionality to create your templates. So so when you drag and drop your sections in, I think that is the most simplest way to put it, is just dragging it and dropping all of these sections in. And I really enjoy that we have that ability. Makes it incredibly simple. You also can just open up pre-existing templates that we've already built out for you in the EasyBuilder folder section. That you can already open up one of those templates and then make your own modifications. So that's handy to have just for like example purposes or just for your own general purposes. So the next benefit is that it is predictable. This one's a huge one. So whenever you send out an email to any email client, any inbox, just for example, like Outlook and Gmail, right? When a inbox receives your message, it reads it in its own special way. So how it interprets your message is varying. It really varies. But what's awesome about the EasyBuilder is that we have very specific CSS, very specific HTML, very specific items that account for different types of inboxes and different devices, such as your mobile devices, even using different inboxes. So the end result is that you have a very predictable template that when you create it and you send it, you'll know that this is what, like, you'll know that it's going to stay consistent from what you're viewing already. So that's a huge one here. So the next last thing that I think that is really important is that you don't need to know HTML knowledge, since it's so simple and it is predictable. So the templates that you do build, you're assembling it how you want it to be. And there's nothing in like that in our like builder that you need to actually have some kind of knowledge, although we allow for that. So I think that's important to know, just to kind of like drive in how simple it is. So let's move forward. Okay, so let's talk about the best practices for the EasyBuilder, as there are many. So I listed out some that I thought that was the most important here. So the best practice is to ask yourself and apply what you had to ask yourself, and know that there is a tool for that. Okay, so who is your audience? You are going to create your templates with a purpose for your audience and yourself. So what is your purpose, and who is your audience? So this can vary because you might have a set of context. Maybe they are for blogs. Like these are subscribers that have subscribed. Then you'll have a template that is particularly to this like education of knowledge of what they had subscribed to, versus like if you have an automation, and in this automation you have a very specific process that you want to send an email for them to click on a link, for example, that you want them to sign up for your booking calendar, for example. So therefore, your audience is a little bit different because your whole creation is based off of what that intention is, as there are different intentions here. Sorry. Okay. So then the next is, what is the purpose of the template? So it kind of goes into like the whole who is your audience. You have personal emails, you have marketing emails, you have automation responses, for example. The automation response emails, they're going to be different. You're going to use placeholders that identify something much different in your process. There's always a process that you're following. When it comes to the automation responses, maybe for the marketing, it's straightforward. Maybe you just have a whole set of drip campaigns, and those drip campaigns, you have like individualized messages for each time that the messages are sent out, just for example. So what do you want your recipients to do? This is important because we've identified some tools that people, for example, can click. For example, do you want your contacts to click on links, which they should, because for the most part, you can track that, and I say for the most part, I mean, like you need to have a tracking script for the links that they're clicking, things of that nature. But at the very root, we are still tracking like reads, clicks, and every analytic response that comes from an email. So you're going to gain all that information. But if, for example, you like link a picture to another web page, that is a intention that you want them to do. So therefore, you should put like attention to like that picture. That picture can speak for you. So you can identify that pictures are maybe even the primary what's called content of the email, and then maybe a little bit of text. So this comes down to the creativity part that I referred to in the beginning. So how do we attract attention? I think the best way to identify your attention, would you look at your template and then like, would you read it yourself? Would you commit to your template? Or if you saw like a random email in your inbox, would you be interested in like how that email looks, and would you read the content? So you might want to like mirror what you've learned in your own experience, that, you know, maybe this color scheme works, maybe this font scheme, that maybe we need to enlarge font sizes, maybe we need to put more spacing for text, the format of images. You personally will think like what exactly is going to attract your audience's attention, and that is variable, and it takes a lot of, you know, like you creating these and then actually applying it. So the next thing is like, what will it look like? So we have preview functions for the EasyBuilder and also the emailer. So when you use this preview function, what you're able to do is see how it is in an inbox. So what does it look like? You'll also have the ability to look or view it from like a mobile perspective. Since our templates are mobile responsive, then you'll see like how predictable your templates are. But you'll want to like view it as your recipient. Like if you put yourself in your recipient's eyes, then like what do you think this person would enjoy about your template, essentially? And then, is my message too long? So this one is a common item that should be considered, as like, you know how like when you're in your inbox and you're looking at specific messages and they somehow require you to like scroll like longer than 3 or 4 or even 5, like on your little mouse wheel, like all the way down, most likely your eyes will start to glaze at a certain point. So like I did some research here, I didn't actually reference it here, but the average attention span is 11 seconds, and that varies per year apparently based off of the source. I can send you the source if you ask me for it, but it's like 10 seconds or 11 seconds. If this person like knows who you are, they'll give you that much. So if you're not quick and concise with your message to get it across, then most likely the recipient is going to move on. And that will count as a read, but maybe you wanted them to click on something and they had not, because the message is too long. So in this case, like you put yourself in their perspective again, maybe it's a good idea to separate out your messages. Maybe you have enough content to suffice for just one, and then bring over the other content to the other message. So these are just things that like in my experience are just the like really the things that you should consider when you're building the email. Okay, so we're moving forward. Let's just look at some examples of emails that had been built in EasyBuilder, and these are some of my favorites that I've seen like literally in the last week that I like. So there's a lot of really creative emails that are being sent every day, and it's really nice to see like when our clients do it, and just expand on like creativity using the EasyBuilder. But not to kind of, like fluff up our own wings, but our marketing team does a really solid job creating like our own emails in EasyBuilder. So big props to our marketing team. But I'm just going to point out some items here to just kind of like look at, right? So we have like a banner image here. It's not too big. We have another banner image. It attracts your attention, right? All these things are attracting your attention at first glance. So then so these two are like these are two sections. Like, so section 1, section 2, and then this whole area, that's another section. So that's a text-based section. These are picture sections primarily, right? So it's 3 sections so far on this one. We have content, and so we have a call to action with our verbiage is time to automate, and then give some context. We have URLs or hyperlinks for you to click on, and as you just keep reading, you're getting what you need from the message. It's not like overly done, and that's why bullet points are really important here. So we move forward, and then we have like a picture here. This is a picture, and that connects to a Vimeo video. But like, if you were interested up top here, you're most likely interested in this video. So you're going to click it. You're going to click it, and that for us is a win, because now we have that consolidated in your reports, right? So then we move forward. It's like, okay, we keep moving along here. This looks like this is an image, right? So that's a different section. This is a different section too. So, all right, it might be the same section. Yeah, this is the same section. And then we have another section down here. That's an image for sure. And then we have our footer area. So what you'll notice is like the physical address, the method to unsubscribe, some social media icons, but that was straightforward. I think that would probably take like less than 6 seconds to like actually skim through and be happy with, essentially. So that was a good one. So the next one is like, so one of my clients or our clients that I just was like looking at this template, right? And I liked it a lot. So got the banner image. We have some, like placements, like, okay, we should put a heading here, heading there. This is another section. This is part of the EasyBuilder. There's a 3-picture section. So we got one image here, another image there, another image there, and then there's the text. So that's a very specific section here. That's another specific section. That's an image-based section. And then what you'll notice, I skipped this one. At the top, it's like, open this email in your web browser. So that is pretty quick and concise. Maybe like in your email template, you want people to just go ahead and open it up in their web browser. So there's a lot of attention on that, if it makes it easier for the client. So I'm moving forward here. Interesting text goes here. And then we have 2 images here. So they're just larger images now. And then we got the footer here. So all of that was built in EasyBuilder. That's a solid email, like template itself. So you can do the same. It's nice. All right, so moving along here. So just an additional one that we did. So it's basically the same thing, same concept. It's just driving in attention as quickly as possible in these messages. You don't need to go too far in the message. Just get your point across. You can click here, click there, click on this button, contact us, and then placeholder. So yeah, so this is a pretty good summarizing image template here. Okay, all right, so now let's talk about demonstrating the EasyBuilder. So this is the live demonstration here. So, okay, so I'm in my account, and I'm just gonna point out specific things. Okay, so up top here, we have the action, right? The actions pulls out the drawer for you to work with specific things like opening up a template. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and you'll see like I have some folders here. So I've made a template. It's called training template. This one was based off of one of our system templates here. So I'll just like show you what it looks like normally. So this is like something that everyone attending here has. You can access this one system template. So I went ahead and just like modified my own. I added a training template. Okay, I didn't do like anything crazy, but I just added like my own fonts, but my own buttons that I hyperlinked. I just removed a couple of sections. So, but I like this one a lot. So that was through opening up the template. If I like my template, I'll click save. So I can save a brand new template. I can replace an existing template. So the existing one was training template. I can go ahead and do that, or just any other ones here, or just a brand new one in general. So here's like the folder icon, folder list. And then, yeah, if I needed to, I can reset the whole thing. So back here, we're back into like a typical EasyBuilder template that you can modify. I'm going to go ahead and just go back into the one that I have. It'll help us. And then we have a preview function here. So I need to enable pop-ups, apparently, for Firefox. All right, well, let's see. Preview. Okay, so yeah, mobile responsive. That looks cool. So that didn't do like more than three scrolls here. And then here's what it looks like for the desktop. So like 1 scroll, 2 scroll, 3 scroll, not even like 2.5 scrolls. Getting the point across here, and then some HTML here. So that's awesome. Preview. Okay, next thing is you can send yourself a test message. Something about this is that if you send a test message to yourself, there are some things that are going to be disabled. So we can't track reads or clicks. And for things like placeholders, it's not going to populate because we have to actually send out the broadcast, which we're going to talk about later in emailer. But yeah, so like placeholders and things like that is not going to function here. So if you want a more finalized version and you're happy with all this, then you export it to the media library. So this window looks familiar. You choose a folder in here, and then it goes to that folder, and you can use that template. Okay, so let's talk about this whole thing. So settings here. So we have very specific settings that attribute to the whole template. So I just did my line spacing to 79. That does not look good. As you can see, like you would definitely hurt your eyes trying to read that. I like doing like 200% because not every reader is the same. Like you would need nice spacing between specific sections and specifically text. So that's nice and legible. This was probably like overkill if I do like 300%. Yeah, so that looks good. And then we have very like specific fonts in here. Specific fonts. All right, so that dictates this whole area here. So the next thing is like sections. So attributing to your sections is the drag and drop. Right, so I just added in this picture thing. So you can see that it says recommended 600 pixels. That's what this is from left to right. Okay, so yeah, so at that point, we're just, we can modify the image itself. So here's the image that we can upload from our media library, and don't have any like readily available, so I'm just gonna use this image here. So you'll center your image, you'll put like a text if you hover over the image, a link, so this one's important. I don't have a link readily available. Boom, like that one. And then you can change the dimensions of the size, but what it begins with is stretching to fit the container. So that means whatever container it's in. This is important because if you have an image size that's like 1200 pixels wide, then what it's gonna do is try and like bring it into that container. And so that's not a bad thing. Sometimes inboxes might take that literally, that your image size is 1200. So that might be a thing that it would expand to 1200. So my suggestion here is to have a bunch of images that are like maybe at most like 600. 800 is decent, but like if it's like 2500 pixels, then it's a little bit overboard. So you can modify that. So you can modify the image itself, like we have a tool here, and you can crop it and readjust it. So then the next is like, you know, using the natural image size. Maybe in your case that you would want to do that. You can manually size it. And like for this example, I'll just do like 400, and that should be fine. It keeps the aspect ratio. I've centered it. I put a link here, and I think this is all good. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert. Works for me, right? Well, that's fine. So if I want to, I can continue to edit it if needed. There's other items here like the horizontal space and vertical space. So horizontal space is from left to right. Vertical is your up and down. So like, for example, I can insert 30 vertical spaces here, and I'll insert the image. So I did that wrong. So I can do 300, center, 30, it looks good. Okay, yeah. So then you can see how that there's like now space from the bottom up, and maybe that's what you need at the time. Okay, so yeah, that's like imaging. I think the real important item here is this link. So link up your images. Now, you know, actually there's one more thing here, the video source here. So video source, this can come into play as actually very helpful. I'll give you an example of what this is. Okay, so let's say like we have a play button, right? Like you have a still shot of a video, and in this video, you want people to click on that link or that image. So that's a little like just slightly modified from this link here because it's a video source. Now, like you can reach out to support@greenrope.com to answer more questions about this. But basically, it's like having a URL for a video that's in MP4 format that you're hosting, for example, on Dropbox or like Google Photos, for example, not like Vimeo or YouTube. But the whole point of this is that if you click on that image, then it might play the video for you just directly from your phone or your inbox. That is actually a variable thing depending on the device that you're viewing it from. But yeah, just that. If you need more information, just contact support@greenrope.com for that. But if the video doesn't play, then it will just direct the person to that wherever it's being posted. So that's a fairly new feature here. So yeah, you can use that to your advantage here. All right. Okay, let me just open up my other one here. Okay, so what you'll notice is this section here. So the section we have, it's text-based. So you'll see the items that I mentioned earlier that you can input into any of these sections here, but particularly the text-based section. So got text, got this, got a button. So building a button, that is simple. Just click on the button, and then here's the button builder that I talked about earlier. So I did that here. Okay, so what you can also do is like drag and drop your sections into different areas. So that's what these like up and down arrows. All right, so I just move those. There is these pencil icons that delete a whole section entirely. So if I do that, that's gone. And you can control the whole color arrangement for the section. All right, so I think this is a solid email. I saved my first and last name and my email as that. And so then at that point, I can go ahead and export it to the media library. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead, webinar example email. So that's my email. Okay, so it brings you to the screen. It's like, okay, you can close this dialog, or you can go to the emailer that we're going to talk about right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I click that. It asks me if I want to go, if I'm sure. And we are in a brand new section here. So this is the emailer. Okay, so this is the same exact template. So what you can notice that I'm not dragging and dropping things any longer. That's not the objective here, but if I needed to, I can include any final modifications here. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking about that now and get back over to slides. Okay, all right, let's talk about the emailer. Okay, so what is on our agenda for this section here? So we're going to talk about the introduction to email. So the components of the emailer. Then we'll talk about the best practices using it. Then we'll talk about we'll do our live demonstration, and we'll send out emails and kind of consolidate both features at that point. And then we'll finish with your Q&A, and I see that there are a list of questions, so I'm happy to answer them. So stick with me. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next thing. All right, introduction to email and basics. So this is located in Communicate Emailer. Once again, there you have help articles and videos regarding this. Something to note also is that there are question marks located throughout GreenRup. Use them, and there are in the emailer specifically that can answer a lot of your own questions that you may have. So some key points here to note is that you should ensure that you have DKIM and SPF records for your sending domain. This ensures deliverability and makes certain, or ensures that your emails don't land into a spam folder. So these are very important, especially when you're using the emailer. We have webinars on this, so if you need any assistance with that, you can refer to the help section and look up the DKIM and SPF record. If not, contact our support. There is an optional MTA, and this I'll discuss in a second what it is. But essentially, we're creating and opening save templates in here. So you saw earlier that you can create email templates in the EasyBuilder, but you can also make templates in here too. So we'll discuss that as well. So what are the main components? The main components of the emailer is to build, test, and send. So when you're building, you're controlling specific items of your template that you have, such as the background color scheme, borders, the fonts, the line spacing. You're going to test your email, and so we have a feature to send individuals your oh, I think I got the wrong text here. Okay, yeah, these are wrong texts. Don't pay attention to those. But yeah, so still the concept is the same: build, testing, and then sending your email. Sorry for that confusion here. Okay, so the process: build, test, send. You use what we call the WYSIWYG. What the heck is a WYSIWYG? What you see is what you get, is what those acronyms mean. So you use the toolbar to create and open up the templates that you already have created or are housing inside your media library. So this is just very slightly different from the EasyBuilder, and so this is it may be the most confusing part is what it's the difference, and there are apparent differences here, but at this point it's just building out your message. To then test, so review your message, see how it looks in your own inbox. So we have a feature for that. And then sending the message to your audience. So when you do your sending, you're going to send to the audience using a multitude of filters. Maybe you send to a group, maybe you send to contacts who have a specific tag. So that is the last part of the process. Okay, so a lot of this we have to, every audience and even inboxes themselves needs to know who is sending the message. So this looks a little bit similar to the other one, but you can see that there is an area for DKIM, SPF, and then one for MTA. And we also have this pre-header function down here. So DKIM and SPF records, what you're able to do with this button is to check if your domain records are set up correctly. So if you need more information on that, just click on the question mark so that you have more information on it. But this runs a checker, and it checks your domain, sees it if it has the records, it will deem it valid or not. It's pretty straightforward. The next is an MTA. So what an MTA is like if you are sending from a server, right? And if the server is like example.com, that's the example. But you have other like sending domains that you are going to use, and in this case, like sender.example.com is that like the other address. So then you can set this up, and when you can send, so it appears as such that the sending domain is the primary domain. Sounds confusing, but it's not. Just click on this question mark when you have more questions, as that gives you a heck of a lot more information on this. But just pointing out that this is a feature that's different from the EasyBuilder. So we're basically checking out who is sending. So in this case, this image is sending from support@greenrope.com, got greenrope as the from. If we put in a subject header or a subject, that will be what people see, right? In their inboxes, but then you also have a pre-header. And so let me move to the, oh, okay, so back here. So the pre-header is what people will see in the inbox. So first they see like who's it from, the sending email, the subject, which should be short and sweet, or just enough to get your message out, or yeah, the actual condensing your message into like how many words, and that takes some processes to master, no doubt. But there's a pre-header in which that follows after. So an example is like, hey, check this out. But I mean, that sounds spammy, but then you have like a pre-header. It's like our new showroom floor, and our new showroom floor has some item here. So that comes in together. It plays a role from like that attention grabber to the pre-header, which gives a little bit more context to what you're saying in your message. So I think that's a skill, and it takes a lot of time to think about, because yeah, it's just getting the attention before they read the message. So it's just stuff to think about. Okay, so back to what the WYSIWYG is. What you see is what you get. So we saw this earlier, but there are specific things that are different here. So I'm going to point them out. And so the first is the save feature. So the most important thing, and always, is to make sure that you save your template. Like, don't lose your template. Once you build it, save it. So we have multiple ways to do that, right? So that's the one that I'm looking at right now is this save function. Now, if you open this, it's going to have different variations of the save. So you can update your current, which overwrites the current template. So if you've updated what you needed to, update the current version that you're working with, right? So that's the more typical way. So another is creating a brand new version off of what you had just modified. So that is like if you have like let's say you have 4 different versions of the same template, but they all have varying text, for example. And when you want to send the variations of these texts to like a different audience, then you can do that off of just one template. So versions like version 1, 2, 3, 4, they may just have, and in essence, they're the same, but they can be completely different, essentially. And then so saving it as a new message, that will, you click a folder in your media library and just save that as a brand new media file, so that you can use it for different reasons. And then you have a quick save feature, which is not highlighted here, but I'm doing it with my pointer. So that will just automatically save what you got, which means updating the current. And then you have the auto save feature. So like in this case, it's off, but if you had that on, that's an account setting that you can enable, or you can do it yourself, which is just activating that. That will save your template every minute. And so that's I think that's a really cool feature. It gives you a dialogue that your template had been saved at that moment. So I think it's like you have a peace of mind that you will always have your template saved. So make use of that feature here. Okay, so the next thing is in the WYSIWYG is like opening your files. So when you open a file, it is directly from your media library in a window that has your most recent sent and modified in the same window. But you're going to find templates belonging in folders of your media library. Since, like, remember in the EasyBuilder, you exported to the media library, you had to save it in a folder. So the folders exist to contain your files, and especially email templates. So you'll open it up in that one folder. We have filters to find specific templates too. So like by media file or names or whichever. And then we have like a template thing. So that's right here. So we have pre-configured templates that you can utilize made by our web developers in Greenrope. And so this is great because you can locate templates that are already pre-assembled for you. And when you use this function, you can use tags. So like there's like birthday, business, like computers, most popular, like what are the things that are the most popular here. This is just a slight bit different though, because we've already created those templates, whereas like your opening of your templates is things that you've created yourself. So just kind of differentiate that, right? Okay, moving forward here, the preview function. So the preview function is this eyeball icon. So that's new, right? So when you click on the preview function, it will show you what your template looks like on a desktop and your mobile devices. So use this as like before you're ready to send, use the preview function, right? That's just a good practice, just to see what it looks like. And you know, the concept is that if it looks good in Greenrope, then it should look good in a recipient inboxes. I'm gonna show you some things later that would maybe not look so good, and that's kind of that'll be in the best practices section here. So I'm gonna move forward. So the spam checker. So the spam checker is right here. When you run this, you run your template against every email template that's being sent internationally. I know that sounds really fancy and really crazy, but like there's a message being sent every like millisecond. And so what this spam checker does is it like checks the condition of your message. Like, do you have DKIM and SPF? Do you have like spam like qualities in your text? And do you have like hot keywords? So when you click that, you even get like a feature. It's called Send Forensics, that you can find more information on what exactly you might need to change about your template. Now, my advice is to take that with a grain of salt. Sometimes it's like it really gives you a really large background of what you need to change. And sometimes it's just going to tell you, hey, you said too much. So that's why I say take it with a grain of salt. It's not like perfect. But it does give you a background on what your template might run into through inboxes and inboxing. Okay, so here we go. The best practices. Okay, so here the best practices are just slightly different. Right, ask yourself and apply. So set up your DKIM and SPF records. Very important to make sure that messages don't land in the spam folder. So we've discussed that. Who is your intended in audience? And we've discussed this too, also in the EasyBuilder. But like, are you seeking a survey response? Are these contacts going to attend an event? Are we directing them to a website that's being tracked? What is the most effective date and time to send this message? And this one's really good. So depending on time zones, and you have a time zone in your account. And so your time zone is different from internationally everyone else's time zone. So you might take that into consideration, especially when you're spanning internationally. Sometimes you will want to send to like a very specific country, for example, at a very specific time. Same thing with an international country outside of yours. You'll send it at a very specific time. Like if like I was going to send out a message to Barcelona, I would do that at like 6 p.m. like my time, like Pacific time, so that we can capture the audience at the morning time, for example. I don't know if I got that. I just made that up. But yeah, so you get my point here though. But so like you can also set it up that you would like to send at Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. And I don't have the bit and piece here, but there's actual science behind this that if you send like Monday, that's the highest read rate. Tuesday, that's the high, like the optimal of days that people are reading their inboxes, and then from Tuesday it kind of slopes down to like Friday being the least like that people are checking their inboxes, right? So there's definitely a strategy to the times that you send. So how do you attract your attention? So it's the same thing as like the EasyBuilder, but it's just you're now in this emailer area. And then so there's proper copy and paste rule. All right, so this one's an important one. So like I know that you're going to have content and sources from a different area, wherever that may be. Maybe you're copying and pasting direct, like from Microsoft Word, for example, or like some other application. Now, I'm talking about specifically text right now, nothing else. But if you're going to do that, what I highly recommend you do is like copy from that source the text and then place it into like a Word, or not a Word, sorry, not Word, text-based application like Notepad. So you paste that into the Notepad. What that does is it removes the HTML that had been associated from that, wherever that the text originated from. That's important because when you do paste that in, you just have a very specific text. It's just text. So at that point, you can copy that and then paste it into your editor. Okay, so what you can guarantee is that there is no formatting. What is bad is having another source's format, and that makes your email template unpredictable when you do that. Because, like, for example, let's say you have done that for many months and it works, but then the next it doesn't, because it's like things change all the time. But like at that point, like your email template might just look different for every inbox. So you want to like take steps to avoid that, right? So the first step is to just use the EasyBuilder, and then if not, then just make sure that you're kind of adhering to that. There are formats from other applications that you need to consider before bringing that in and then sending your email template. Okay. All right. So next thing is the use save filters. So when you have a set of filters that you're going to use like all the time, like use that to your advantage. You're going to be able to just go ahead and like load up your filters, and like you'll already know what to expect, that your audience is now gathered up, and then you can send to that specific audience. So what I mean by that is like using tags, right? Tags contains, campaign 1, or user-defined field contains active client, or a set of groups that you already, that you just need to talk to. And so you just load it up, much easier that way. Okay. All right, so we are winding down here. So the last bit here is demonstrating the emailer. So I'm gonna jump into here. Emailer. Okay, so the emailer, I've got already preloaded my EasyBuilder template, but I'm gonna show you. So here I clicked open, and open, it shows me my most recent templates. So I'll just use this as an example. Right, there's a folder here, so load up template. Okay, so now I can go ahead and like save. So I save, and so you'll see here, like I have a whole bunch of templates. I can update it, the current version, modify the existing, or if needed, I can save a brand new message by clicking that folder. I'm gonna share it with all my groups, and this one specifically. So like you would save it to the groups that you're working in, the permissions based, if you don't enable this here. So if you enable it, that means that you're sharing it with all your groups. Okay, so if I go ahead and just do that, save it to this folder, February tickets, okay, it's saved successfully. That means that I can only access that template in that one group. So just be aware to do that or not do that. Share with all your groups. Okay. So that has something to do with shared access. So there's other webinars on that. So yeah, saving, quick save. So that is the quick save, enable autosave, and then opening. So if I just did this, so opened up the template, load up the template. So I'm just gonna skip here. So moving along, let me duplicate my tab. So I'm gonna run the spam checker so I can just show you that. So it takes a little bit of time to do that. So I'm just gonna let it like wind up. Okay, so yeah, spam checker, and then the eyeball icon to preview the message. All right, so just looking at it, looks good, looks great. I like this message. Okay, so then at this point, we're like, okay, let's just make sure that all this is great. So hello, right? And then got the from subject pre-header, checking DKIM and SPF, right? So we've got that, looks good. Okay, so now it's the part of just sending out your message. Let me just double check. Oh, here it is. Okay, so the spam checker is done. Doesn't like my content. Doesn't like these things, but like I said, take it with a grain of salt. But if needed, we can move forward to like an actual reporting thing here. So yeah, I'm gonna move forward though. So the next thing is like we've done this building. We now send a test. I'll go ahead and send myself a test message. And yeah, so I should have that in my inbox. Give yourself some time to do this. Don't just click on send test email like repetitively and expect an answer like right away. That's important here. Just give it time. There's a lot of processes that actually happen when an email broadcast gets sent. And I just sent myself a message and it can arrive like now, or it can arrive like 10, 15, 20, even 30 minutes later. There's a lot of varying reasons why like emails just don't appear like right away. And some of them are predictable and some of them are unpredictable. But I think the best thing, like if you don't get your test message right away, is to just wait. Okay, so just wait and you will get that message. I know that you'll get your test message, but I think you clutter like like a queue of messages when you might spam this. Like if I just do that right now and then again, like back to back. So don't do that. Okay, just wait for it. Okay, so when you get that message, you look in your inbox, you like it. So then now it's a matter of sending to your audience. So here we're in the send tab. We can edit a filter here. So editing filters, you have the ability for like all groups, this group, multiple groups. I'm just gonna do all. I'm looking for like specific contacts if I apply a filter here. But if I wanted to, I can just like load up a filter right here, right? Let me just actually explain this. So like we have like adjustments, like whether they attended an event, if they received an email before. Yeah, so just review your filters. I think we have a webinar on that too. But yeah, so you can load up a filter I chose this one, I load it, and that will be the filter that I'm going to work with. I got 2 contacts with that filter. All right, summary, 2 contacts. Okay, so at this point, like what we can do is send to things like social networks here. This is a different topic though, but it's contained here, so just giving it a heads up. And you can do that. You can add content to like images and links to the email broadcast, for example, like this one. Yeah, this is a separate topic, so just let support@greenrope.com know if you have a question on that. But moving to the scheduling is like, okay, I want to send this on like March 3rd. I'm on like Pacific time, Los Angeles specifically. And then I'll go like 7:30 a.m. because this is my audience time, right? And then I'll go ahead and send the message, right? And then go ahead and send this message. Okay, so it's going to be sent for 4 days for now. I'll go ahead and queue it up, and I'll let that do its thing. And we're done here. So that concludes our live demonstration here. New contacts added and done. Okay, so I can double check that in track email. And there's the queued message. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so thank you for being with me in this webinar. I'm going to go ahead and answer the questions that has been asked so far. And if you have additional questions, just pop into the chat.
Since this is a recorded webinar, please visit our help section for more information. Contact us via our live chat feature, email us at support@greenrope.com, or give us a call if you have any additional questions.